What's happening? Welcome back. So the weekend just gone, we had the Evolve Slideways go-kart track event. Awesome event, so good. Go and watch that video if you haven't seen it already. So I had a problem with my four-wheel drive board, so I'm going to look into that today. Let's get into it. Alright, so there we go, we're all powered up. So what happened, we had a few rounds and I rode the two-wheel drive board. I went to jump on this board and I took off around the corner and I just felt one of the front motors were cogging. So I brought it back into the pits and I just worked out that there was some rocks stuck to the outside of the bell from the iron in the dirt that was stuck to it. Just before this, it started raining, so a heap of boards got moved around and you know, there was a lot of gravel, and I'm suspecting that rock has got inside the motor and maybe damaged the sensor or something like that. When I spin it up, you see this motor doesn't turn properly. All the others spin freely, and it's not just an over-tight belt or something like that. You can really feel the cogging when you're on it. So I'll rip the belts off and we'll have a look. This motor is spinning perfect. This one's just not quite right. What I'm going to do is plug it into the laptop and just do another quick motor detection and see what it comes up with. Alright, I'm just about to hit run detection and we'll see what this motor does compared to this one. Alright, so that looked like it all went to plan, but it didn't. It's come up here on the tool that this motor that was giving me trouble has come up sensorless. So something has happened to a sensor in there. Maybe I can run this front one on HFI and see how that goes. Yeah, I might just run it with one sensorless motor and just make sure it's all good and see how we go. Alright, it does seem to be okay now. There was definitely something making noise in there when we're at the go-kart track. So I really want to just pull this can off and make sure nothing's in there. And we might even be able to see why it's saying it's got to run sensorless. You know, it might be a wire pulled off from a rock that's gone around in there or a magnet drama. So yeah, let's just quickly whip this pulley off and slide that can off. I might just heat the shaft a little bit just to help this pulley come off. Well, that pulley was a mission to get off. It just did not want to come off. And normally it's because the alloy has picked up on here a little bit where the grub screw was. So what I'm going to do is give this a good sand before I try and pull this bell off too. Alright, so straight away I can see that there's a rock. And it was jammed straight into this sensor here. That's the cause of my issue. I thought I might be able to get that out. I just can't quite. I can't feel any, oh, there's a little bit of debris. But not much. The rock in there has just gone and damaged some of these slightly. The other thing I might test is the resistance between the 3 phases. I can see the rocks have gone over some phase wires. Hopefully it hasn't damaged them and caused them to short out to each other. So I might do a quick test with that too. Okay, so the main windings seem to be okay. Just this sensor. All those little parts here were all bent in really badly. So I might try and do one more detection now that I've straightened them out. With these big motors, you've always got to be careful putting the bell back on. The magnetic force is pretty strong. And if your finger's in this gap, it'll just take a chunk out of it. So I'd like to bolt it to a mount. So none of the little pins looked broken on the sensor, so I'm going to do a quick motor detection and see if it comes back with something different. Well, that's a shame. After another motor detection, it's still running sensorless. So I'm just going to put it back together and give it a ride and see how it feels. Make sure the motor is operating as usual besides being uncensored. Right, so let's see how this feels. Since there are 3 motors all running a high torque, I can't even feel the cog on that front wheel, which is a good thing. But the problem is, this setup, that ESC and those motors are going on my flux build. I might have to run HFI on my flux build, which is a shame, but it's just the way it's going to have to be. This is the exact reason I don't like those open can motors. Everyone says, oh, these overheat and get too hot. I'd rather have them a little bit warm than constantly ruining sensors. I've ruined sensors on so many of these open can motors. The open can motors were all that Maytech had at the start, and I wanted to try this, so I just went with the opens. And they were going to go on a street board, but they didn't even last that long, and they've already got rocks in them. What I might do is speak to Maytech about getting closed cans just for these motors. It'll still be open here, but closed cans, you know, will make a massive difference, stop rocks getting in. The main reason it happens is rocks get thrown up and they stick to the outside of the bell because they have iron in the dirt, and sometimes they stick here and they creep in, or if you go to wipe them off, they sometimes get sucked in. It's really shit. It's happened a couple of times now. So anyway, let's take this for a ride and see how it feels. I honestly forget how much stronger the braking is with brakes on the front wheels and all 4 motors. Obviously, it's just such a stronger braking power. And what I did this time, I've got about 45 amps or something going to the rear brakes, and I had 45 going to the front as well for braking. And I've actually backed the front down to 30 just to take a bit of pressure off those front wheels. But the braking is so good on a 4-wheel drive board. Well, there you go. I think that's going to be my last ride on 18S four-wheel drive. Four-wheel drive is pretty awesome. It's crazy fast and it gets the blood pumping. It's super fun, but it's just not practical, especially on belts. When I go off-road, I seem to get my front wheels in the air a lot. I take all my weight off the front, lift it over bumps, stuff like that, and I keep the power down. And the power down helps me get the front up as well. So on a four-wheel drive with belts, I can't do that so much because the front comes up and the wheels in the front spin up so fast, and then when they come down, they stop suddenly, and that's what's shredding front belts. As soon as you get any weight off the front wheels spin and creates loss of traction in the front. I could imagine if you're doing a lot of hill climbs, a lot of mud, real soft stuff, maybe even sand, probably would benefit you, but still, I don't think it benefits on belts, even off-road. But if you want to hit the streets, go fast, leave 4 tires on the ground, then it's super fun. And I recommend giving it a go. You've got to experience it, especially high-powered like that thing. It's just crazy four-wheel drive. I think next video, I'm going to start pulling this apart. Yeah, so I'm going to pull the front motors off this thing. I'm going to pull the front ESC off this thing, and it's going to go back to two-wheel drive and just be a fun little jump board again. Get down the skate park and practice some new tricks. Yeah, anyway, thank you so much again for watching. Thank you to my new members. Can't believe it. So grateful. Love you guys. And yeah, we'll catch you on the next one. Cheers.